Welcome to Understanding Your Rights and Responsibilities, Addressing Discriminatory Harassment at the University of South Carolina. This training module has been developed by the University of South Carolina's Office of Equal Opportunity Programs. It is designed to equip University of South Carolina students, faculty, and staff with tools and resources to help deal with instances of harassment or discrimination. While this training resource is provided for educational purposes, it does not, however, constitute legal advice. At the end of this video, you will be asked to complete an online quiz which is designed to gauge your comprehension and understanding of the information that will be presented. Your participation in the quiz will assist us with enhancing the effectiveness, efficiency, and usefulness of this training module for future use. It will also help us better assess and improve the quality of campus climate with regards to issues of diversity and multicultural sensitivity. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to participate. As a member of the Carolina community, you are protected from all forms of discriminatory harassment. According to the Civil Rights Act of 1964, no person in the United States shall be excluded from participation, denied benefits, subjected to discrimination in any federally funded program or activity on the basis of race, color, or national origin. Discriminatory harassment is also a violation of university policy. Our policy stipulates that harassment of any person or group of persons on the basis of race, color, national origin, religion, sex, age, disability, sexual orientation, genetics, or veteran status is a form of illegal discrimination prohibited by university policy, state law, and federal law, and will not be tolerated by the University of South Carolina. So what is discrimination? Discrimination is the unfair or unequal treatment of an individual or group based upon any protected class status. It interferes with or limits the ability of an individual or group to participate in campus events. It restricts an individual or a group's ability to benefit from services, activities, or privileges provided by the university. What about harassment? Harassment is defined as conduct, oral, written, graphic, or physical, which is directed against any individual or group because of or based upon protected characteristics. It is behavior that is sufficiently severe, pervasive, or persistent so as to interfere with or limit the ability of an individual or group to participate in or benefit from the programs, services, and activities provided by the university. Harassment may include, but is not limited to, objectionable epitaphs, demeaning depictions or treatment, and threatened or actual abuse or harm. It does not, however, include the use of appropriate materials by students, faculty, or staff for the purpose of discussion and instruction employed for learning purposes within the academic context. Sadly, we still live in a world wherein some people engage in behavior that violates the rights of others or disrespects their individual cultural, religious, or racial backgrounds. While we believe the University of South Carolina is a safe place to work and study, we are also aware that the members of our institution mirror the larger society. It is for this reason that we are presenting this training opportunity. Let's take a look at some real-life examples of acts of disrespect or discrimination that have come directly from the media in recent days. The Facebook pages of the Black Affairs Council and the Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Resource Center were targets of hate speech at a flagship university in the state of Georgia. The Pan-Hellenic Association at a major institution in the state of Alabama has come under fire in the student newspaper, which published an expose alleging that at least 4 sorority chapters denied a black woman a bid simply because of her race. An online instructor notes that the white students all answered a question correctly, but the 2 African Americans did not. He states, "The white students got it right. What's wrong with the black students?" A student walks out of her room to discover that a racial epithet has been written on her door and on the walls of her hallway. A group of Muslim students attending a football game hear the chant, "Effing terrorists, go back home," coming from the students section located behind them. The cycle of oppression. Have you ever wondered what is the origin or the source of such behavior? Consider the cycle of oppression. Discrimination and oppression often begin with a stereotype. A stereotype is an oversimplified judgment or belief that is ascribed to an entire group. Not all stereotypes are negative. Stereotypes can, in fact, be positive beliefs about a certain race. All Asians are smart. All African Americans play basketball well. But regardless if the stereotype is negative or positive, it can lead to sweeping assumptions about an entire race or group of people you do not know very well. And while it is human nature to categorize people, things, and ideas, stereotypes have some major consequences and cause much damage. Stereotypes can affect your judgments of individuals, lead to discrimination, hurt academic performance, cause group members to try to fulfill the stereotype, damage self-image, affect memory, and even lead to violence. When does a stereotype become prejudice? If you said, when you form a judgment or assumption about someone before knowing or meeting them, you are correct. Stereotypes form the basis of prejudice. When does prejudice become discrimination? If you said prejudice becomes discrimination when we act upon the prejudice, you are correct. Discrimination is prejudice plus power. What about oppression? When does discrimination become oppression? Discrimination becomes oppression when it's long-standing and systemic. Finally, oppression is often internalized by both groups. The victims of oppression or the minority group can begin buying into the stereotype and engage in behavior that is representative of the stereotype. The majority group can also internalize the oppression by buying into the notion that it or its behavior or ideology is superior. So how does all this play out on a college campus? Let's consider how a stereotype can progress and evolve to the point wherein it eventually becomes a form of internalized oppression. A stereotype about women is that they are not as good at math as men. That stereotype becomes prejudice when you meet a woman and assume that she is not good at math before you know her. Prejudice becomes discrimination when academic advisors discourage women from majoring in math, or math instructors do not call on their female students in class, assuming they cannot answer difficult questions. The discrimination is internalized when the female students buy into the notion that they cannot do math and elect not to major in math. The male students too internalize the oppression by assuming that they are better at math and support the professor in ignoring and criticizing the female students. We can even take this stereotype further. The subjugation of women often contribute to violence against them. Do women still encounter challenges in fields and subjects which have been historically and predominantly populated by men? Yes. Are women still the victims of crimes and harassment based upon sex? Yes. Now consider if the stereotype was race-based rather than gender. All of the outcomes would have been the same. Minorities internalize the notion of inferiority. The majority internalize the notion of superiority. Stereotypes lead to prejudice. Prejudice becomes discrimination. Discrimination becomes oppression. Oppression becomes internalized. So you see, stereotypes may appear to be innocent, but have very severe consequences. The cycle of socialization. Consider the following statement. We are born without prejudice or bias. While research has demonstrated that we are born with the ability to make judgments or make choices, the acquisition of information about others or about ourselves, which forms the foundation of stereotypes and prejudice, often comes from the way in which we are raised, taught, or socialized. Do you agree with that statement? Most people do agree. Consider the cycle of socialization. The cycle of socialization helps us understand the way in which we are socialized to play certain roles, how we are affected by issues of oppression, and how we develop bias and prejudice. The beginning of the cycle, depicted by the first circle, represents the situation into which we are born. We have no control of the situation into which we are born. The first arrow represents the fact that our socialization process begins immediately. The adults who raise us are our socializers, and they affect how we see the world, how we see ourselves, and how we see people who are different from us. We are socialized to believe that we are better than them. They are bad people, or we are the good people. The second circle represents the institutions that help shape our views, beliefs, and help instill within us prejudice or acceptance. The second arrow represents the way in which the instilling of ideas, beliefs, and behaviors reinforce the cycle of oppression. Behaving differently is not as simple as most of us think. We are rewarded for good behavior, conforming to the norms and standards. By the same token, we are punished for bad behavior, questioning or rebelling against the norms. The third circle represents the devastating result upon all of us the self-perpetuated cycle of oppression produces. The final arrow represents a point at which we all arrive, the results of the cycle. We are forced to make a decision, even if that decision is to do nothing. Doing nothing is the easier choice, especially for those who benefit from the perpetuation of the cycle. However, we are all victims of the cycle, and we all are hurt by it. Oppression hurts the oppressed and the oppressor. And finally, it is the wheel that turns or perpetuates any cycle. At the center or core of the cycle of socialization is fear, misunderstanding, insecurity, or confusion. In a similar manner, the oppression matrix helps us understand that bias does not just show up in our actions, but in our behaviors as well. Bias does not just show up in our conscious activities, but in the unconsciousness as well. Let's go back to the stereotype about women. While I may not commit acts, let's go back to the stereotype about women. While I may not commit acts of violence against women or against minorities, unconsciously, I may feel that they are inferior. These unconscious beliefs eventually surface in our actions and behavior. Minorities are the target of racial epithet and name-calling on college campuses or even violence. Women are the victim of violent sex crimes on a college campus. These are very real occurrences happening on college campuses throughout America. Unconscious bias, also called hidden or implicit bias, refers to social stereotypes about certain groups of people that individuals form outside of their own conscious awareness. But there's a difference in unconscious bias and illegal bias. We all have some form of unconscious bias. It is human nature. Unconscious bias, however, can progress to the level of illegal discrimination when the stereotypes or unfair judgments that we make about others show up in our actions, decisions, language, and our conscious behavior, and when it is based upon characteristics that are protected by the University of South Carolina policies or federal and state law, it is illegal discrimination. Any member of the university community who is found in violation of our policies, who engages in illegal discrimination, is subjected to disciplinary actions and university-related consequences. Part of the University of South Carolina's motto is, "Learning humanizes character and does not allow it to be cruel." The value of higher education is, it exposes us to people from different cultural backgrounds. It allows us to have experiences and opportunities that are different from our previous socialization process. It broadens our understanding of the world, ourselves, and others. Being a member of the Carolina community provides you with an awesome opportunity to become aware of your individual bias and to confront and work on it. Let me end now by sharing some campus resources which can assist you in the event that you or someone you know become the victim of any form of illegal discrimination on this campus. The Office of Equal Opportunity Programs has been created to investigate all allegations of discriminatory harassment. If you or someone you know becomes the victim of discriminatory harassment based upon the following protected class statuses: race, color, national origin, religion, sex, age, disability, sexual orientation, genetics, or veteran status, please contact the Office of Equal Opportunity Programs at 803-777-3854. You can also file an online complaint at www.sc.edu/EOP. All allegations of discrimination must be filed within 180 days from the point of occurrence. While it is always better to resolve less serious complaints at the lowest level or within the department or college where it occurs, all complaints, regardless of the severity, should be reported to the Office of Equal Opportunity Programs. If you are not sure whether an act or the behavior of others constitutes discrimination, or if you are not sure how to handle a situation, you may contact the Office of Equal Opportunity Programs anonymously for advice about how to handle the situation or to gain information about your rights. During our initial meeting with any member of the Carolina community, we will provide information about policies, procedures, and recommendations for addressing your individual situation. While all allegations are taken seriously and addressed by the university, some issues can be addressed through a less formal process. Other allegations, however, require a formal investigation, findings, and possibly disciplinary outcomes. If you or someone you know becomes the victim of illegal discrimination, please consider the following. Keep good records. Document the facts and how they impacted your Carolina experience. Do not investigate, but be prepared to tell us as much as you know about the incident. Bring us into the process early rather than later. When in doubt, call for counsel. Realize our role. to protect students, faculty and staff, and the University of South Carolina. The University of South Carolina also protects any member of our community who has filed a complaint, reported an allegation, or participated in an investigation from all acts and forms of retaliation. The University of South Carolina has zero tolerance for all forms of retaliation. We hope that this presentation has been helpful. Please take a moment now and complete the online quiz. And remember, learning humanizes character and will not allow it to be cruel. Thank you.